anytime now. I think I'm live now. Yeah, I think so. I think I'm live. You should tell me if you see me live, and what's going on with my live right now. Not my live, or with my live. I'm saying all at the arm because I am distracted. I'm trying to get everything organized, and I was running a bit late. So let me just take that down a bit. You may be hearing me a bit loud and probably distorted, but I'm getting better now. All right, here we go. All right, Shema Bird, I see you. So that means I'm there. Just say something on here so that I can know we are good, and you're hearing me loud and clear and not distorted. Cha Mohammed, good morning to you. She says, I can see the bald head. All right, good. As long as you can see the bald head. It's like you are seeing the sign behind me. Look at the sign. One of the bald head you can see. Some people upset at me for traveling and not telling them I left the island. You see me, of course. You see me. You see where I am. You see me. All right, get on. Vexed, upset, and figure in their mind, you know, I malhonnête and all kind of. I'm here. I'm speaking to y'all. Hold on. I just, yeah, and again, messages left, right, and center there. Okay. So here we go. What? OJ, that's what I want to talk about. So the shine from your bald head blocking the sign. Dudubs, good morning to you and congratulations to the princess. And tell daddy, let me tell daddy, I hope you heard the mute. So is me. Good sir is me. All right. Congratulations to CC. All right. Sierra on her graduation and her achievement. I appreciate that. Now, this morning, people, note the caption, right or wrong. All right or wrong, as the caption here. Okay, good morning, Vanessa Dola. And this morning, I'm going to be very honest with you. I'm going to speak. This morning, I really wanted to speak on something, you know, a little uplifting. There's so many things that I want to speak about because it's almost, well, it's not the end. I wanted to speak about mental health month, men's mental health month. I wanted mental wellness awareness month. I wanted to speak about that. I also want to speak about, you know, a positive mindset when God takes people out of your life. But I'll tell you what, this morning, I am going to speak on that video that has seemingly gone viral, with the police officer and the lawyer. All right, the lawyer who got into it yesterday, and also a video I saw, and I was appalled by the actions. This morning, I know a lot of morning Tasha. I know a lot of people probably expect me to come and say who's wrong and who's right in the situation. Y'all know me. I don't just go based on it. I do have my opinion as to how I think things should work. Whether there's law or discretion or whatnot, I do have an opinion like everybody else. My opinion may not always be a popular one where people may agree or some people may disagree, and I respect that. Like I respect everybody's opinion. This morning, I let me tell you, I pick up my copy of the Firearms Act. I also picked up a copy of my Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Act regulations and amendments and all of that, because this morning I was about to, you know, get lawyer on you. You know, I had to figure out certain things for myself. I had to see what was happening. Good morning, Giselle. Good morning, Cynthia. Donna B. Good morning. I had to check certain things out because, you know, a lot of the time we come and we make noise based on who we think is right and who we think is wrong, and it's based on our opinion. We feel a certain way. We feel like if we were on the road at the time and that was us, If I was in the police officer's shoes, if I was in the civilian shoes, if I was a lawyer and this and that, we have our own opinions based on how we would feel. Morning, Daniel, Lord, shout out to you, bro. Long time. How I would feel and all of that. All right, we all have our opinions. Let us leave just, let's just take feelings out and let's just get logical here. I do not know what happened in between. I do not know. I only saw what some of you may have seen, probably. Some of you saw a little more to help form your opinions in the situation with what you saw. And hey, kudos to you if you saw more and you have a reason, why you're convinced that this was wrong or this was right or this person was in the wrong and that's on you. I'm going based on what I saw. But I'm also going to tell you, what if there was something that happened behind the scenes? Guys, listen to me. On the heels of all the progress that's being made by our local law enforcement, by our officers, big drug bust, retrieval of firearms, illegal firearms, and all of that. Good morning, Donna. All right. Good morning, Christine. All right. With all that has been going on, good for our police officers. I'll be very honest, and I know some people thin-skinned who won't want to take offense will take offense. I have zero. You all know me. As a matter of fact, the police are my friends. I absolutely love when the police are doing an amazing job. I hate criminals. All right. But the reality of this situation is, people, if it is not being done, it should be done. Okay? I always come on here and say to you, people, if the police, I'm Simon, if the police officers, if they're really, Donna, I don't even know if you want to say that, what you're saying there. All right. If a police officer stopped you and is questioning you and whatnot, just come, just. I don't know. I know I just lost you guys for a little while. I know I lost you for a little while. Hopefully you are still there and you're still hearing me, because I just got disconnected on my end. All right. Now, here is my thing. I don't know what sort of training is being done. I don't know if it is a case where we just take the police officers to the training school and we teach them how to arrest, how to, well, I shouldn't say that, because I have police officers, be it my friends or not, and I have seen police officers exercising, some level of control. Okay? People, listen to me. It is not about a right or wrong situation. As a police officer, we hold you at another level. You're at a higher standard. Okay? Do not tell me that you are not being taught how to de-escalate a situation. It is not just about a customer service or anything like that. You must learn that, and it is not just about you learn that so you don't abuse your authority. It's not just that you learn that so you don't you get people. You don't force respect. You see, I saw this video of two officers manhandling this gentleman who is differently able. Is that okay? Is that appropriate? Is it appropriate for... Keeps dropping, but it's back. It's back. I'll keep talking. Hopefully it keeps recording and you get it. Is it appropriate for a police officer to say, furthermore, in fact, I'll tell you that in a while, for a police officer, yes, I will shoot you. I will shoot you. It's not. It is not. And I'm not saying that the gentleman in question was right in any way. I'm not saying that, because I do not know the backstory. I do not. All right. I do not know what happened behind the scenes, what the gentleman would have done to get the police officers aggravated, and for the police officers to say, and I did get word that the gentleman was arrested, was taken into custody. I did get word of that. All right. But here is my thing. There is a way to do. There is a way to go about it. I keep getting disconnected, guys. Don't ask me why. But something is going on. I am on there, but it keeps dropping, coming back. So hopefully you are there. All right. This is just not a way to do things. You want people. I'm not saying that somebody should be let go. If somebody is resisting arrest, I'm not saying that the necessary force sometimes need to be applied. Okay? It happens. But there is a way to do things. Was this gentleman capable of doing anything to those two officers? And I'm talking about the differently abled man who was arrested and shoved in. All right? You assaulted him on the ground before you picked him up and tossed him in the vehicle. When he stood up again in our local palace, you gouged the man to push him inside of a truck. People, two officers roughing up this gentleman. All right. Then the officers yesterday, clearly in that video, I will shoot you. Was that even necessary? From a man who is clearly, okay, we can't say that he was putting up a resistance. He was. And I'm not downplaying it. Probably the appropriate thing would have been for him to get out of the vehicle, reason and whatever. But where? I looked, I searched the Motor Vehicles and Road Traffic Act, all right? And there is nowhere in there that says, all right, and it has nothing to do with it not being nice. It is not professional and it is not appropriate. And in a situation like that where a man is not brandishing a firearm and he does not look like a threat, for my feet to come back, and he does not appear to be threatening the officer. Come on, I will shoot you. I will shoot you. You were upset, all right. And there's a way to do things, and I believe that a senior officer should have stepped in earlier, all right, so that it does not come down to that where the officer is visibly upset in a situation like this. How do you control yourself as a police officer? How do you prevent yourself from shooting this guy? If this guy just makes a move for his, like we see in the movies, if this guy just makes a move for some document, how do you prevent yourself from shooting this guy? How do you justify a shooting like that? And this is why I'm saying, I'm not saying this gentleman is right. I am not casting judgment, Miss Imanus. If that's what you come in here to do, this is not the place for it. Had you been here earlier, you would have heard what I said. So take your time before you say anything in there that might put you and I in problems. All right, we're not about to have problems. You and I, we love each other. All right, my thing is, like I said, there should be a way to de-escalate these situations, people. Yes, the gentleman could have acted differently. And this is why I said from early what I see. This is what I saw yesterday. The same way, I guess I'm making judgment on the fact that two police officers roughing up this guy who is differently able to toss him in a vehicle and then push him with that kind of force, drag him, carry him by his pants, hit him on the ground. I guess judgment, I'm seeing one side also. No. Okay, there is a way. The same way I would come on here and say to you guys, I don't think that you should defy police officers. A police officer stops you. A police officer is asking you a question. What you getting on for? A police officer says to you, I have always said, a police officer, all the thing we're saying about the officer, the light was red, or I passed an officer, according to the Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Act, has a right to override any traffic control device as long as the officer identifies it or herself all right, and all of that. But it does not change the fact that there is a way to deal with things. And this is not going to make the public, and it doesn't matter what we believe and what happens behind the scenes. The officer cannot take back, these officers cannot take back what was seen and the public opinion. And in this day and age, when we need people to collaborate with the police and cooperate when the need arises, in this day and age, you don't want that kind of negative press. And I'm not saying that the gentleman should have been left to get out of the situation. I'm not saying that. I am saying that the officer should have exercised a little more control on his part. I'm saying that. All right. And again, this is my opinion. You may have a different opinion. And I understand that. And I respect your opinion. But in my opinion, the officer is pushing his hand in, and the guy is sending out, you hit me, and this is madness. We in school, you give me Dede, I give you Dede back. What is going on? What is really going on here? And then we're going to jump up and say, oh, that man was right, or that man was wrong, the officer was right, the officer was wrong, this man was right. No. For me, the guy could have complied. All right. However, again, his approach, okay, but give me my ticket. Does this vehicle have thing? Well, we will find out. Is that the way? Is that the way? Is it? And I'm asking here, and I'm not being sarcastic or anything like that. I'm asking, is it appropriate? Is it somewhere written in the law that this guy, an officer of the law, can come in and scratch your windscreen to check for a tint? So it says there are hardly any consequences for police misconduct, so they feel comfortable abusing their power. Remember that the officer who beat the guy, the boy with a cutlass, he's still at work. This is madness. And I don't think that there's no consequences. I think that a lot of people are taking it for granted and deciding, boy, let me take to social media. There is a way. Okay, you go, you make that report. And that feel, if you feel you were treated badly and wrongful arrests and all of that, there is a way to go about it. All right, and I dare say you need to fight it, because the same way I'm coming in there and saying to you guys, we give the criminals legs to walk. All right. We encourage them when we don't say anything to the police. All right. What are we teaching our children when we're recording somebody abusing the police officer, cursing a police, roughing up a police, fighting back with a police? We're teaching our children that it's okay to treat police officers like that, and I think it is wrong. Okay. It's the same way I'm going to come on here and say this was absolute rubbish. I think there was a better way to approach this situation. There was a better way. Granted, the senior officer, or what appeared to be the more senior officer, all right, so it says conflict resolution training was the actual offense, one that required such action from both parties. And that's what I'm saying. You know, was it that everybody running on egos yesterday? The driver, the police officers, I'm upset, you coming to me in that way, and I'm telling you, give me my ticket, all right, and it escalated into that. Okay, but did it have to get there? And again, I am saying, we hold the police to a higher standard. Okay? And I do not care who disagrees with that one. If you disagree in your face, you disagree, I don't care. All right? We hold you to a higher standard. All right? I expect a civilian to look at another one if they're upset. If wrong as it may be, I expect it. That's you think I shooting you. I expect that. I do not expect that from a police officer, and I refuse to accept that. That's nonsense. And I care who vex. Okay, I care who vex. I encourage people, all right, to go and work with the law. And I encourage the same from the law. Somebody says leadership is not about domination or fear. It's about humility, integrity, and service. Elitism is real. Too many are looking down on others from pedestals they didn't even build for themselves. Be careful how you treat people on your way up. Every high thing must come down. Pride has a way of collapsing under its own weight. And this is what. Some of them are very nice and professional. The few who are acting like little piglets need more training. Of course, some of them use the discretion allocated to them, in my opinion. And this right here is what you want to avoid. our RSLPF, you want to avoid that kind of publicity. And I don't care. All right. Sometimes it is absolutely necessary to rough some people up and bring them in. It is necessary. Okay? But you have to use judgment. I'm sure you are brought in here and you are taught, profiling. Some of you need some sort of training in psychology and how you deal with a mentally ill and differently able and people and older citizens, even younger people who are vulnerable, where we turn around and say, yo, volley killer, criminal killer. Sometimes you are the triggers because you don't know how to deal with those people. And probably you should be pulled aside. Probably our officers should be taken aside and brought into the community to listen. Some of the officers should be taken aside and taught conflict resolution. We have to be able to de-escalate certain situations. All right? And again, I will keep saying that because anybody that think, y'all can tell me anything when y'all see me. I different. I a different breed. That's the same way I will talk to y'all when I see y'all. Okay. All right? I'm saying it again. I am not in any way, shape or form saying that the gentleman in the vehicle was right. It is not about right or wrong here. All right? Because again, I saw two videos from one perspective. God knows if the video was edited. God knows if something happened that wasn't recorded or anything. Okay? And the officers must have had the right to be upset and think they are within their right to do or act the way they were acting. Yeah, they must have had a reason. But the action themselves, come on, we can do better. All right, you know how many officers that have approached me and good day, I'm so and so and so attached and we are doing a vehicle check. We would like to see a document. Easy like that. Now I'm not saying because I your friend, you are my friend. It's your job you're doing. Whether you're my friend or not, it's your job you're doing. All right. I'm not saying that you have to approach me like you're my neighbor and you want to be nice, but I'm saying this is a better approach for future interaction with civilians and police officers. It is a better approach. You want people to co-op you information. You want information from individuals. Obviously, they will remember the interaction you had with them or the interaction you had with a civilian on a video. Don't expect them not to turn around and say, not that man that was kicking up the man, punched the man couldn't even walk, and you drag the man and throw the man in a van, and you come in and ask us, Papi, so guys, come out and guys, are you mad? I ain't know nothing. Is that what we want? Is that what we want? It doesn't mean that you have to be mean or unprofessional because you have the power to be that way. All right? Because you are given the authority, it does not mean that you should act that way. It doesn't work out well for you or other police officers. To the gentleman in the vehicle, the reality of the situation is, I've always said, an officer approaches you, you give them the information, they ask for certain things, within the confines of the law, you comply. Comply. If you think it was, someone says the approach is very important. We are all humans at the end of the day. If you think for some reason or the other there was an abuse of power at the scene, yes, make your recording of it. Yes, report it. Report it. Okay? Do what needs to be done. But I'm never going to ask somebody, me, them fellas coming and approach you in that way, fight with them. Me, I'm approaching a regular traffic check. My first thing, I bring down all my windows. Anybody who knows me, they would realize I drive with all my windows up. My windows are always up. I am approaching a checkpoint, I'm approaching a police roadblock. I take down all my windows just so that I can avoid any kind of stress or anything like that. Is there a law in there about, I saw something on windscreens in there and tinting of windscreens, all right, and it actually said nothing about that. Okay, it actually said nothing about it. If I'm to read this section, where it speaks of the level and the minister and God, I need to quote this section. They can actually tell you what level of tint for the windscreen or the windows. It's in there. Okay, there's nothing in there about impounding a vehicle for a windscreen tint. All right, if a law is made, if something is passed that you're not supposed to have, and obviously, the police have been on that in terms of your windscreen not being tinted, so it's not new. So if the police stops you and it's about a windscreen tint, I know they have their little way of checking for your windscreen tint, especially in the nighttime, and they ask you to, you just remove it. You do what you're supposed to do. All right. Do what you're supposed to do. An officer asks you to do something, you comply. And it says, like you rightfully stated earlier, all the good work done by the police of late and good will be received from the public, and good will receive from the public, has been undermined by a couple of over exuberant officers, and that is a truth. You don't want your actions as an individual, all right, to just tarnish the reputation of the whole force. You don't want the steps that y'all have made, all right, for it to just come back on y'all and crumble. And I do not care how you spin it, right or wrong. Loud shout out to you, Aski, all right, right or wrong, all right. The way to go about this is by trying to de-escalate the situation. You have to be calm. You know how many people that arrest, how many officers that arrest people already and they come in the whole situation? No, sir, you are coming down. No, I will shoot you. No. What prompted you to say that? Somebody says comply with the officers and document with a camera or voice recorder. And it's a fact. If you feel your rights were violated, seek legal advice. Imagine getting shot during a traffic stop because an officer is on a power trip. Exactly. And this is why I'm saying the gentleman, he too had to figure, boy, you know what? Let me not let my ego take over. All right, let me not. It's true. Them officers, as far as I'm concerned, they overdoing their nonsense and whatnot. But find a better way, especially in the position that you are. Okay, this is the police need to the police need to set the example when it comes to tinting. It says the approach to any matter is the answer, the only answer. The commissioner needs to be in damage control mode. We need the police just as they need us. There are good officers out there as well. I agree. All right. Blessed morning to you, Manchester. Lord, shout out to you, brother. All right. And this is true. There are good police officers. But if one or two, if those guys do things, to damage everything else and all the work that is being done, what is left? Kim Sharrett says, happy to be back, super love from London. Didn't like those videos from the police. And that's what I'm saying. So I'm saying the police officers, and a lot of people don't look at police officers as human beings. The police officers, they are human beings. So they do have bad days. Some of us do things so that police officers can react, and then we cry foul. All right, we want to be the victims all of a sudden. We do things. Some of you go out there and you do things, especially when the camera's on y'all and y'all want support. Y'all do things. You'll go about, abuse of power and that, and people quick to condemn police officers. They're quick. All right, until it reaches their doorstep and they cry and foul. We need the police. So you're quick. However, on the flip side, there are some police officers that look for that kind of publicity. Do not allow people to do that. Do not allow them to take you to that place. Okay, you're a police officer. You're held to a higher standard. Okay? Find a way to de-escalate the situation. And in a situation like this, I'm going to be very honest with you all. Probably the police officers will be looking for me now, but hey, it is what it is. I'm going to be very honest with you all. I would pull you all aside, all right? And we would do a whole session on how to handle a situation like that again. Okay, we would. Because those videos are not supposed to surface when it comes to our police force. It is not supposed to be, all right? Especially, you see the one where they're roughing up this man who can barely walk straight. I am not in favor of this. This one, I'm not even finding an excuse for. All right. We need to find a better way to work together. Officers, Mr. Police, right or wrong, that kind of force and those words, it will not make people respect you. It doesn't make people respect you. Some people may get scared, and some people may defy you. They may defy. Somebody says, it is time to remove the force from the name of the organization and the royal too. We are independent. Example, SLP, St. Lucia Police Force. St. Lucia Police, I hate that one. It says, to remove the politics, SLPU, St. Lucia Police Unit. You see, you go in the sorry corner his eye. All right, but this is you know, it surfaced because I woke up to it, and live in the UK. You know, and this in itself, people, we need to do better. Party, it has nothing to do with a party. It has nothing to do with it. Just has everything to do with people and the police working together. We need, somebody said it, we need one another. Somebody said, we have good officers out there, but the few who do wrong tarnish the organization. People will say the police force, not the officer in question. Let us continue to work together. Exactly. And this is exactly what I came here to say. This is what it is. It is not about a gentleman being right and the police abuse. Behind the scenes, there must have been more. I don't think those officers woke up and they were so mad that they just decided, I will shoot you and all of that. No, I don't believe that. However, it does not mean that it is right to use those words or get on in that manner. Push your hand in a vehicle. Man is sending your hand out. This is crazy. It was like playtime, I telling you. I giving you Dede, you hit my hand, I not going if you're lasher. But just so you taking my key, move your hand. I am taking your lasher, you knock me, I giving you Dede back. That's what it looked like, people. That's what it looked like. Unprofessional in every sense of the word. All right? I am all for respecting the police. And there is no fear. All right. If I think a police is acting inappropriately, I will tell you you're acting inappropriately. Will I fight with you? No. If I find I'm in a situation where I have to defend myself, I will defend myself. Okay. All right. But I don't think it needs to get to there. All right? It should not get to there. All right. And if a police is approaching you in the wrong way, it is okay to record it and make a report. Okay. There is no way that I will say to you that you should get on and fight. And again, I've always said to people, when things are happening, we must be very careful what we post, what we send out there, because we're encouraging people. You know, to disrespect the police when we see something happening that's justified and we put it out there. But likewise, police, you all need to safeguard yourself. Look around you. Look at what's going on. Somebody says, yes, take out the force in the name, because they taking it as a verb, not a noun. But it says, the commissioner needs to discipline some of them. Some of them need to be taken aside. Much like some of our citizens that figure it is okay to disrespect the law. There are lots of things in the criminal code that we should learn as citizens, you know. The inappropriate language. Did we even know that it is against the law to be cussing up somebody in the streets, whether it be a police officer or a civilian? It is against for that. A lot of people need to get familiar with the law. You know, you don't defy a police officer just because you think you can do that. No, you don't do that. You ask questions. You take action where action needs to be taken. All right, and the officers much like anybody else. What's your approach? Community policing, go in there, find out what you're doing that is wrong and fix it. Don't decide in your mind, me, the law I am. You think you can talk to me how you want, the law I am. Somebody says police need to know, be in professional manner and understand the way to do things and speak to people can turn a situation. And it's true. All this is part of de-escalating that situation. Somebody's asking Superman, whatever happened to those body cams? We need to have Mr. Law explain those behaviors. That was you know, there's a lot we can say, and this show could take the entire day. At the end of the day, I'm not here to cast judgment and say, you this and you that and you that. All I'm saying is, there's a better way, and it works out for our people. Somebody says it's also an offense to threaten somebody's life. The officer threatened to shoot the gentleman. And yes, according to the according to the Firearms Act, okay, the Firearms Act, according to it, it is an offense. And it doesn't really matter who you are. It is an offense. It says policing is very stressful. Is there periodic psychological and emotional evaluation and support for officers, monthly or quarterly or yearly? And you are so right. You are so right. Sometimes these guys are on the scene and a fellow officer probably just got hurt. A fellow officer, look at when the officer was shot. I know nothing about that right now. The officer was shot. He died and all of that. Some of those officers come back on the road the next day. Eat hot jalapeno. And the next day, some of those officers were forced to work, and those officers must have been upset. Some of them were hurting. Somebody saying, can the commissioner explain this about this whole thing? And this is the next thing. We need to be very clear as it pertains to the law and what obtains. You all remember that whole fiasco with the 3D plates and all of that? Somebody needs to come out and say, listen, according to the law, according to this is that, that is that, that is that. Okay? That is what it's supposed to be. Somebody says, all I can say is it does not look good on an international stage. They should have frequent workshops with officers on de-escalation of high-tension environment and proper handling of individuals, all especially differently able individuals. And that's what I said earlier. Differently able. Your senior citizens, some of them are a little slower. Some of them really and truly just can't do any better. The mentally ill. Do you even know how to deal with them? A man who is approaching you and his intention is not to kill, but he's not complying because this is his mental state at the time. Do we just chamber and shoot this man? Is that what we're showing that we're going to do? We can do better. We can do better by one another, citizens. We can do better by one another, officers. Do better. It's sad because the Minister for Crime Prevention is a former police officer and he's also differently able. This was hard to watch. Yeah. And it's real. And I hated this video of the officers dragging this man and hitting him and then, pelting him in the vehicle and all of that. No. I did not like it and I don't see any excuse for it. I don't. Okay? I don't see an excuse for it. All right. And even though this man was putting up a resistance, this man was in no position, and I watched this video over and over, this man was in no position to even hurt you officers. All right? That person wasn't. Somebody said somebody disappear. I'm afraid. I'm not afraid. Somebody says that's also Kaka who de-escalated the situation at the tent. All of that is quarrying. What situation? I don't know about that. Okay, so people, at the end of the day, this thing is not right or wrong. This thing is about how we deal with situations. It says officers need mental health, not only work. We need to offer help to the constables, help in many ways. People, and it's a fact. Some of the police officers go out there and it's a very stressful situation. Some of them go out there and don't even know if they're coming back. If some criminal decides, I'm going to take matters into my own hand, I'm going to fire back at an officer and all of that. Some of them go out there and they're scared. All right, and as much as they're being, they're scared. All right. Somebody says, listen, don't let the international agencies who support differently able persons see that our local agencies who receive support from these agencies will have questions to answer. And people, I respect this. I respect this 100%, but here's what. Do we have to break it down to watching? Somebody else is watching on the internationals, they may see the video. Can we not just break it down to there's an appropriate way to treat human? Can we break it down to that? There's an appropriate way to treat human beings. That's all there is to it. Get it right. Do we have to, it doesn't matter what agency is looking. We're supposed to learn to work with each other. It says very poor training of police in St. Lucia due to lack of resources. Officers need to be aware of the laws of the land. I don't even know I do not want to criticize the training, because to be very honest with you, I do not know what the training entails and what they go through and all of that. I do not know. So it's not a case where I can say and this is that and that is that, because it's just like your child. Sometimes you raise your child the way they're supposed to be raised, at least how you try your best and all of that, and they still go astray. So then maybe stop. Do not just jump up and decide you're going to do that. Okay? Comply. And officers, find a better way. Find a better approach. Okay? Have a wonderful day. I appreciate you. I'm out.
Are you in need of a